Alright guys, we're back for another video. Now today I want to talk a little bit about Jojo Part 5, right? So the anime's currently ongoing. It's very good. I've been blown away, I think, by the quality of just the Jojo anime in general, right? I think the animation is fantastic. I love the characters. I love Giorno, the main character. I think the music is great. So far, like, Part 5 of Jojo has just completely blown me away, right? So much so to where, like, you know, now that we're reaching sort of the end, right, for the anime, I've seen some people, like, you know, kind of allude to some things that might happen or stuff like that. So I figured, you know what, F this. I'm going to go ahead and read the manga and finish it up right now. So what this video is going to be is I'm just going to kind of talk about the parts of the JoJo manga that have not currently aired, just specifically for Part 5, right? Because I have not even touched Part 6 yet, or Part 7, or Part 8, any of that. I've just finished Part 5 yesterday, and you know, I kind of have a lot of stuff I want to say about it, talk about it, so I figured I might as well put it into video form. So again, if you're, like, watching the anime right now and you have not read the manga of Part 5, like, you know, I'm going to be talking about the ending, spoilers, you know, all types of stuff with King Crimson, so, you know, maybe watch this after the anime has finished. So I guess let's just jump into it, right? Alright, so first and foremost, right, King Crimson is incredible. Like, in the anime, when he first shows up, like, he is a showstopper. Like, he just seems invincible, virtually untouchable, with his ability to sort of erase time, skip through time, like, you know, kind of, you know, like, okay, I heard it described as this, right? The villain of Part 3, Dio, can pause, like, he can basically press the pause button, right? The villain of Part 4, you know, Kira, can hit, like, rewind, can hit the rewind button. And then the villain of Part 5, Dialvo, or King Crimson, he can kind of hit the skip scene button, right? So, King Crimson, like, that ability just seems so powerful to where, like, it's not even that he, like, you know, just kind of, like, skips through time, but, like, specifically when you see the fight between Doppio and then, what is it, Risotto or something? The guy who uses Metallica. Metallica is his stand. And then Naranja's Aerosmith comes in to kind of, like, shoot, like, whoever, like, you know, he saw on the radar on the cliff. And it's going to hit Doppio, but then, like, he kind of activates King Crimson, just so, like, the bullets are coming in, right? And then he activates King Crimson, so it erases the time where the bullets would have went through Doppio, or, you know, King Crimson himself. And then kind of, like, resumes time after the bullets have kind of, like, went through what would have been his body. So it's kind of like the bullets come in, like, the part where they would have, like, impacted King Crimson himself are skipped, and then the bullets, like, just kind of, like, the time, you know, comes back, and it hits the Metallica stand user, and he dies. Like, when I saw that, it's just like, dude, like, I do not see how they could fuck with this guy. Like, he's untouchable. Like, it's gonna be, like, what are they going to possibly do to take down King Crimson? Like, I cannot wait to see how this final battle is gonna go, because, like, you know, I thought JoJo Part 1 was solid, right? I thought JoJo Part 2 was, again, solid. I know a lot of people, like, stan Part 2, absolutely love it. I like Joseph a lot, but, like, I don't know. Like, I didn't like the conclusion with Cars, the perfect being, the whole ending, like, being, like Joseph, like, so luckily, like, manages to beat Cars, and he gets ejected into that, you know, space. I wasn't really the biggest fan of that, right? Then Part 3. Dude, the ending of Part 3, like, Jotaro versus Dio to me is, like, it's a perfect fight, an iconic fight. It's just, like, Part 3, in my opinion, is too long. That's an issue with it. Like, you got too much stuff that really is sort of pointless. Kind of like, you know, the Monster of the Week formula. A lot of the stands are not really that big of a deal, right? But then you get to the end, and Araki sticks the landing so freaking hard of the whole arc, like a whole arc, the whole part, building up to Dio, them finally getting the Dio, and the payoff was incredible. So good when they fight Dio. Now, I know, like, so I'm going to talk more about, eventually, you know, Gold Experience Requiem. We're going to get there. But, like, you know, Dio, Araki kind of, I don't know if I want to say wrote himself into a corner in Part 3, because I don't know, it seems as though this might have been his intention the whole time, right? But, like, Dio kind of has this invincible ability, right? Stopping time. Like, how do you can't Like, how do you beat that? So, Jotaro, boom, has the same ability. The World and Star Platinum are the same type of stand, right? Cool. Then we go to part 4, right? So part 4 has Kira, basically, I guess Killer Queen is a Requiem stand, like Bites the Dust has to be a Requiem stand as well, right? So like when he does Bites the Dust, I thought the way Araki kind of settled that with the kid, oh, what's the kid's name? Hiroto or something like that? I'm forgetting some of the characters' names, but you guys know what I'm talking about. The kid at the end of part 4, like the fact that he was kind of able to outsmart Kira to beat, Killer Queen and Bites the Dust without even like using stands. Like I felt like that was cool. Like that, it was like built up to, right? Like we had that whole arc. He like ended up resetting through that same day, like over and over and over, and then he came to like a plan. Like he kind of. It ended up working out, like him calling Josuke so Josuke would get there, and then boom, then, Kira has to deactivate Bites the Dust, and then he has to fight, like, Josuke, right? Maybe the fight itself between Josuke and Kira is not the best. I think it's okay, but, like, I thought, like, the Bites the Dust part is so interesting to me, so good. Really, really enjoyed that. But then you get to part 5, right? King Crimson, another one of these, time shenanigans stands. But then, like, so Araki, I feel like he maybe could not figure out a possible way to beat King Crimson or whatever, because his, like, solution of Gold Experience Requiem, like, is just so ridiculous to me. Like, so, like, Giorno, like, pierces himself with the arrow, right? Which basically awakens his, Gold Experience to a new power, which Giorno does not need to activate. Gold Experience Requiem activates it itself. There's no real indication that, Giorno has to activate anything, or he has to be aware of anything. Well, okay, there is an indication that he doesn't, right? He does not need to be aware of stuff. Like, Gold Experience Requiem does it itself. But, like, I feel like even if Giorno does not have Gold Experience, like, actually out, like, if he had not summoned Gold Experience to be, like, kind of, like, out and about, right? The ability would still activate. Like, Giorno is the ultimate defensive character, like, in anime. Like, you can't touch him because, like, an action targeted against him or an intention gets reverted back to 0. So, like, King Crimson, right, skips time, does a whole bunch of shit in skip time, is going to finish off Giorno by punching them through the chest, right? But then, like, time reverses. It just goes back and forth. Like, you see, like, Mista during the stop time had shot his gun. Like, a couple things, like, the bullets go back into the gun. Like, everything just goes back. And then, like King Crimson is just, like, stunned. Like Diallo, like, he can't do anything. And then Giorno comes in, hits him with Gold Experience, and then that activates the second, like, insanity broken part of Gold Experience Requiem, which is where, like, it appears as though, see, I've done some talking with the homies, and it's like, maybe Gold Experience has to actually be able to kill the opponent to utilize this second ability, but he puts you in a death loop. So Diallo is just stuck eternally, like, dying in, like, a loop. Like, it's, like, like, because you see him, he gets, like, sort of stabbed to death once, then he's, like, being alive, he's being autopsied alive, then he gets hit by a car. Like, he's just constantly kind of, like, stuck in this infinite loop of hell. Like, I get that it's sort of be like, I'm losing my words, but, it's sort of a play on the fact that, like, King Crimson Diallo, like, was using that, like, ridiculous power of King Crimson to skip through time and basically dominate reality, dominate everyone. And this is kind of like his just desserts at the end, right? Like, now he is stuck in, like, a never-ending loop of, like, misery. Like, yeah, I get that, but, like, it's not even really that there's not a fight between Giorno and King Crimson, because, like, I feel like you can't call it a fight, right? Like, there's that big sort of battle royale, I guess I would say, with Mista, Trish, Bruno, Polnareff's Stand Requiem, well, I guess Silver Chariot Requiem, right? And then who else is there? King Crimson is there. Like, it's just like this huge, like, battle royale, like, like, just a fight over the arrow, right? And then, like, eventually it ends up in Giorno's hands, and then, like, once he hits himself with that arrow, like, it's just like, it's done. Like, King Crimson, he can't do anything. Like, you can't hurt Giorno. I think that, like, it's weak. I would say I feel as though Araki wrote himself into a corner with King Crimson, and it's literally like, this is all he could come up with to kind of stop King Crimson, because, like, I feel like we could have gotten a fight or something to where, like, you know, King Crimson could be overcome without, like, creating literally the most OP unstoppable thing, like, you could imagine, right? Because, like, you know, like, I guess talking about, like, Black Clover for a second real quick, right? There's a character in Black Clover, Vanessa, who she can use an ability, which kind of summons the Threads of Fate, right? So, like, it kind of alters fate to be favorable for her and those she cares about. But there's a limit to that, right? It uses up her magical power. She can only activate this ability. I believe it's like, it takes the form of a cat called Rogue, right? And I believe the ability can only be active while she's got magic power. You know, using the ability drains her magic power. So it's not like omnipotent. It's not invincible. It can be overcome if you can, like, it's a battle of attrition against Vanessa, of stamina, right? If you can outlast her, then you can beat her ability and take her down. But with Giorno, it's just, like, his ability, like, Gold Experience Requiem's ability is to win. Like, that's it. Like, I won, bitch. That's it. It's over. Like, now, sure, like, you know, I put out a tweet, too. I was like, is there any character in anime that could beat Gold Experience Requiem? You know, Giorno Giovanna at the end of Part 5, right? I saw a lot of people would throw out things like Zeno, right? Zeno would not work. I don't think Zeno would work. So Zeno in Dragon Ball can just erase, like, existence, reality, can erase anything, right? But, like, I feel like Gold Experience Requiem, like, would get erased, but then he would do what happened against King Crimson, and he would just roll it back, and then it would not affect Giorno. Giorno I don't think he could be erased by Zeno, because, you know, Zeno, like, we've not gotten any indication that he's omnipotent, right? So, like, I don't think that would work. Like, it seems, but again, so if you have to imply that Giorno, in order to kind of finish his enemy off and to utilize Gold Experience Requiem's second ability, which is where he puts them in the death loop, if he has to actually have the power to kill a character to put them in the death loop, right? So, like, i.e., that would not work against, like, UI Goku, right? Because there's no way Gold Experience could kill UI Goku, right? But then at the same time, there's no way UI Goku could kill Gold Experience Requiem. Any attack Goku would do to Gold Experience would just be reverted back to zero, right? So it's kind of like just an eternal stalemate against, like, almost all of anime, I guess. Like, but see, like, that's the thing. Like, I don't know how much I like that. Like, especially because I feel like Part 5, again, up till that point was doing so well. I have other things I don't like besides Gold Experience Requiem. Like, again, I didn't really like the conclusion of the arc Gold Experience Requiem and, like, kind of everything surrounding it, right? I feel like this is a problem that does happen in all the JoJo parts where it just cuts off, like, so, like it's like they're fighting, like, they're in the final battle, like, in one chapter, and then the next chapter is like the ending, right? Like, there's no resolution to a lot of the plot points, which sometimes I'm not the biggest fan of. I thought the ending of Part 1 was, like, perfect, right? I thought that was fantastic. I guess Part 2 does lead into Part 3, right? I can't really hate on Part 3. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just Part 5 that I don't like. Because, like, there's all these things, right? Like, Giorno becoming the boss of the organization. Like, you know, the final shot, you do see him sitting on basically the throne, I guess you could call it, as the new boss of the organization. But we don't really get any info on that, like, about Trish. Bruno, right? So, I actually love Bruno. Bucciarati, however you want to say it, right? I thought he's a fantastic character. Absolutely loved him throughout the entirety of the anime, right? It's almost like Bucciarati is more of the main character than Giorno. Like, not actually, right? Because Giorno is a Jojo. But, like, you know, Bruno, like, Bucciarati, he is so much so the focus of the entire part, right? And, like, so he meets King Crimson. That, like, Bucciarati fighting King Crimson, like, was so good to me. Like, the edge of my seat. Like, you know, some of these JoJo fights just really have that ability to be just so jaw-dropping. And I felt like the King Crimson, like, just seeing what King Crimson is capable of was so amazing to me. And then, like, like, he dies, right? So Bucciarati dies against King Crimson because, like, you know, you can't, if you don't know what's coming, especially, you got no chance against him. Like, as we saw when Polnareff fights King Crimson, originally, right, after the events of Egypt, and he gets completely obliterated, right, but manages to survive kind of through, you know, sheer luck, it seems. But I like that, like, Bucciarati, like, even though he dies against King Crimson, like, he's kind of able to soldier on as almost like a zombie or something, right? I really liked that, but what I didn't like is that there's no, like, explanation for it. Like, I know that's Jojo. Like, Jojo, a lot of stuff in Jojo just happens. There's a lot of plot holes because, like, Araki, like, you know, he forgets stuff or whatever. But, like, that's just, for me personally, I do actually like my things in anime to be over-explained to me. That's just something I like, right? Like, I know a lot of people did not like the angels in the Tournament of Power of Dragon Ball Super and how they would over-explain everything into the ground, but I actually do like that. I don't like when there's a billion unanswered questions. I don't like when things have endings that are open to interpretation. I'm not a fan of that. Like, I don't know. What's the movie I'm thinking of with DiCaprio and Joseph Gordon-Levitt? It was made by the guy who did the Batman trilogy. I can't remember the name. You guys know the movie I'm talking about. Fantastic movie, but, like, the ending is left to interpretation, which I'm not really the biggest fan of, right? I do like these things to be explained. And, like, Bruno kind of just, like, again, he just soldiers on, like, as a zombie. But then eventually, you know, he just kind of, like, his body, you know, wears down. And then eventually leads to Requiem kind of swapping souls. And then, you know, Bruno is able to kind of keep carrying on a little bit. But then, like I really would have liked, like, some sort of explanation or something to why Bucciarati was able to actually keep going as a zombie and why no other character was able to. Like, if you just want to say he's special or something like that, sure, but I think I would have like that's one of the things I was looking forward to so much that made me want to read the manga. Is, like, I'm so curious what's going on with Bucciarati, right? That's very, very interesting to me. And then, like, for it just to kind of, like, be brushed aside, I wasn't, like, too crazy about. And then, like, there's the epilogue too, right? Now the epilogue, I don't see what the point of it was, right? I guess it's to set up the whole theme of fate, right? So, like, in the epilogue, we see it takes place before, like, the official beginning of Part 5, and there's a stand Rolling Stones, which, you know, it kind of, like, locks you, like, I guess it's, like Rolling Stones, like, knows that Bucciarati is going to die against King Crimson, and it's a stand that will kind of euthanize you, so it'll kill you without you, like, feeling pain or whatever. Like, it's kind of like a release, not having to have all the pain and stuff like that. And, like, Mista ends up encountering the stand user, and through all the talking and stuff, is able to prevent the stand Rolling Stones from euthanizing Bucciarati, who it was after. But in the process, it sets fate down a course that ends up killing Abakio and then also Narancha, or however you say his name, right? Those characters end up being fated to die alongside Bucciarati because of what Mista did. But was there really a point to that? Was that really necessary to put that in there? I don't think so. I mean, I guess you could say, again, to kind of set up the overall theme of Part 5, right? But, like, for me, like, I was really excited reading it because I thought that was going to lead into why Bucciarati was a zombie after he died. I thought that's what the purpose of that was going to be. So I was very excited, but then for it just to lead to, oh yeah, you know, now Abakio and Narancha are fated to die, which, you know, we just saw happen. It's like, I don't know. I just don't see any reason why that should have been in there, right, in the first place. I wasn't really the biggest fan of the epilogue at all. Now, one last thing, negative thing I want to point out before, like, I talk about some positive. Like, here's the thing. I've been talking negative the whole video, but, like, I still really like Part 5, right? I really like Part 5. I really like Giorno. I really like King Crimson. I really like all these characters and stuff. Just, like, the way it ends leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And it's just, like, I don't know. I probably would still say Part 3 is my favorite part. I know, like, a lot of people, like, that's just the most popular part. And, like, it's not even Part 3 itself, which is good, but it just drags on way too long. But, like, the ending is just so perfect to me that it just makes Part 3 my favorite part, right? And, like, Jotaro, the way he acts in the Dio fight, just, like, has him as, like, eternally my favorite Jojo right now. Like, he just so impressive to me, right? And, like, you know, part 5 just has a bunch of negative things. Because, like, you know, I've been on Twitter recently saying, like, dude, like, I don't see any way, like, there's no way part 5 can't stick this landing. And, like, I kind of honestly feel like it didn't. Again, one last thing I want to talk about negative that I did not like is, what is his name? Fugo? His stand is Purple Haze, right? You know, he's on screen right there. That character, right? Part of Bruno's team. So, when they decide to betray the boss, right? And, like, Bruno, you know, is going to try and, like, kill him. We're going to take him down and stuff like that. And Fugo just decides he's not going to participate. Like, the whole time I'm reading the ending, I was expecting him to show back up in some manner. Maybe he was on King Crimson's side. Maybe he, you know, came to help out Bucciarati and the others. But I did not expect, like, that's weird. Like, they get on the boat and they, like, drive, like, they drive away, and then, like, they just leave Fugo out of the story. Like, that's it. He, like, it's just like, all right, later, like, you're just done. Like, we never see you again. You're never talked about again. Like, I've heard that there's, like, a novel based around him, but, like, I've also heard some people saying it's not canon, too. So it's, like, I don't know. It's hard to tell. Like, that part, not the biggest fan of. Now, Polnareff showing back up in part 5. I actually did really like Polnareff. Now, here's the thing, though. Like, the way he acts in the part makes sense to me. I thought it was cool. The whole arrow thing, I was okay with his backstory and Dialvo, like, kind of like them fighting, you know, Polnareff losing made sense to me because, you know, King Crimson is OP. Like, even him discovering the secret of the arrow, not really so much of an issue. But, like, when we get to him using the arrow on Silver Chariot, and then, like, that whole part where Silver Chariot Requiem kind of swaps everyone's souls and, like, just does all this insanity. I don't know that I really like that part. And then, like, Polnareff ended up being inside of the turtle as well. I thought it's kind of weird. Like, to the point where Polnareff is, like, eternally in the turtle, right? Like, he literally says he lives as a ghost inside of the turtle. And, like, you see the turtle is there with Giorno and Mista at the end of the part, you know, as the leaders of the organization. But, like, I've heard, too, that, like, you know, Giorno, Mista, Polnareff, like, they never show back up. Like, you know, I'm not going to talk more about later parts, but, like, you know, they're never shown again in JoJo. So it's like, you know, like, it just some of the stuff seems... It's, I don't know, like, what I, like, say, maybe, like, stuff happens just for the sake of happening. Like, I feel like a lot of, like, from right around where King Crimson kills Polnareff, and Silver Chariot Requiem gets activated, right about there until the ending is where I kind of am not the biggest fan of part 5. Like, I would say that's where things start, right? That whole kind of switching soul stuff, just not the biggest fan of. Now, so Dialvo's backstory himself, too. So you get a glimpse of it. Like, I didn't read the manga. Like, so I've watched the anime all the way up to the most recent episode at the time I'm recording this, which is when Giorno defeats Green Day, right? But I've not really read the manga up to that point. So, like, I don't know if King Crimson's backstory... Because, like, when I was reading the manga from that point, like, King Crimson's backstory was there. But, like, I know in the anime that came, like, way earlier. So I don't know if, like, in the anime they just pushed that way earlier in the series when Doppio, however you say his name. I can't pronounce anything correctly, remember that. But when he gets first introduced, right? I felt like... I don't know, I kind of would have liked a little bit more of King Crimson's backstory explained. Again, this leads to, like, a pet peeve, personal pet peeve of mine, where I just don't like when things are really half-assedly explained. And, like, I feel like a lot of stuff about King Crimson is very half-assed explained. Like, even, like, you know, we get the revelation that Dialvo is the one who discovers the arrows in the first place and then gives them to the old, like, witch, who eventually, you know, gives one to Dio, and, like, the world is created and all that stuff. So this guy, Dialvo, is the one that created all these situations, all these stands, everything in part 4, part 3, and part 5, all created basically by Dialvo. But, like, I feel like they don't go into detail enough with it, right? I want more. I would say my big issue with part 5 right now is that I'm left unsatisfied. I'm left wanting more. Like, I don't know that that's necessarily a good thing when Araki never gives you that more, right? it's not like it's eventually coming. Like, these are just, like, unanswered questions, like, unexplained things that are just always going to be there. Again, I've been very negative, but, like, I do really like Part 5. Like, even now, I really like it. I would absolutely recommend, like, people to watch it, people to check it out. I thought it was a really good time. I love a lot of the characters. That's the big thing with me, is how much I like characters a lot of times determines how much I like a series. And, like, Giorno, Bruno, King Crimson, a lot of the characters are just really, really awesome. I really enjoy them. I did also think, too, by the way, the whole, like, split personality with Doppio and Dialvo, I thought was incredible. I loved it. Loved it. I always love that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Malik, love it. Same thing, right? Sensui, Yu Yu Hakusho, I absolutely stan, like, these, like, villains that have split personalities. That is very interesting to me. So, like, that, like, as soon as I realized that was going on, like, that's another thing that put my, like, hype, like, to all-time max for Part 5. It's like, whoa, dude, like, okay, I'm really excited to see, like, what the whole cause is with this. But, like, that's the thing. They don't really go back in time and explain why Dialvo has a split personality, right? Like, Sensui and Yu Yu Hakusho, it's explained. Malik and Yu-Gi-Oh! Explained. Dialvo, Paul Naref theorizes he could have been abused, but that's it. That's it. He said, hey, you know, some cats get abused and this happens. It's like, okay, cool. But I do want to say, the scene where Doppio is, like, having the confrontation with Polnareff, and, like, he walks forward and takes the sweater off, and then it's revealed, like, Dialvo is there. That, like, that was just such a cool moment to me. Like, I can't wait to see that animated. I think that's going to be incredible. Like, I don't know what it was. Like, it seems like it's just kind of very unassuming, right? Like, you know, just to take the sweater off, and then, like, you know, now his personality's revealed. You can see, like, his face has slightly changed. His hair is different. But, like, I really liked that. I thought that transition was awesome. And I do actually like Dialvo's design. That's the thing. A lot of JoJo characters, like, their designs are so out there. I don't know. It's kind of like, I feel like you could maybe compare, people are going to get mad at me for this, but maybe you could sort of compare some of the JoJo designs of being, like, wacky to, like, One Piece being wacky. But, like, dude, do I so much prefer, like, the JoJo style to the One Piece style. That's really the one thing for me that holds One Piece back, is I hate most of the character designs in One Piece. I don't like the way it looks. But JoJo, I do like the way it looks. And, like, again, like, I think the super colorful nature of a lot of characters does work a lot. Like, even Giorno, right? Like, I heard a lot of people complaining because in the colored manga, which is how I finished reading Part 5, Giorno has, like a dark blue, like, outfit, right? But, like, as you guys can see on the screen, oh, no, this way, yeah, right there. As you guys can see on the screen, Giorno, like, the pink suit or whatever he's got in the anime, I prefer that. I really like the pink suit. I think that looks good. Like, that's a good look for my boy. And, like, you know, again, like, I like Giorno as a character. I thought Dialvo's design was good. I just like a lot of the stuff in Part 5, but like, I just kind of wanted to make this video to talk about, like, how I didn't like some of the things here at the end of Part 5. I mean, you guys can let me know. Do you like Gold Experience Requiem? You know, were you satisfied with how King Crimson was beat? I wasn't. It definitely could have been handled better. And again, like, you know, you could say, like, because I said on Twitter that Araki wrote himself into a corner, right, with King Crimson. And then people were like, well, yeah, but, I mean, he did it in Part 3, he did it in Part 2, he did it in Part 4, and it's like, yeah, Part 2 was bad. The ending of Part 2 was really bad, I thought. But, like, well, when I say that, I mean, like, the conclusion of the fight against Cars, right? Like, I thought that part of the ending was really bad. But I thought, you know, I liked Jotaro versus Dio, and then in Part 4, Hiruto, or whatever the kid's name is that I can't really remember right now, him beating Bites the Dust the way he does, Kira, I really like that. I thought that was really, really awesome. And then here we are in Part 5 again, where I don't really like the conclusion too much. I've heard of what happens in Part 6. I mean, we'll see if I probably won't like it. But the universal opinion I have seen is that Part 7 is, like, the de facto best part of JoJo. Like, I don't think anyone who's read Part 7, I don't think I've seen anyone say, like, a different part is better. It seems like everyone was, like, universal in that part 7 is the best part. So, I definitely am looking forward to eventually reading that. What is that? Steel Ball Run, right? Because part 6 is Stone Ocean, part 7 is Steel Ball Run, and part 8 is Jojo or however you want to say that. So, I don't know. Again, you guys let me know. What did you think of part 5? Again, the major things of Gold Experience Requiem, I didn't like. I don't like at all. Like, it's too OP for it to be that enjoyable to me. How King Crimson is beaten, again, Gold Experience Requiem, not a fan of. I like Polnareff's inclusion in part 5, but how it plays out, I don't like. I was okay with the backstory of how he ended up there, how he ended up like he is. I thought that was cool, but just the whole, like, ending up in the Turtle, Silver Chariot Requiem, switching souls and everything, not particularly like that. I liked the conclusion with Bucciarati, but I wish it would have been, I wish we would have gotten some dumb reason for why he was a zombie rather than no reason at all. That's a big thing. And then even, like, Trish, like, I feel like Trish, it kind of seemed to me like it was maybe setting up, like, Trish would maybe be the one that would eventually take down King Crimson. Like, I feel like that would have, like, you know, been very, like, poetic or whatever. But, like, you know, Trish does really help them out in the final battle, like, and, like, helping to get the arrow over to Giorno and stuff like that. But I don't know. I feel like more could have been done with Trish at the end. Maybe she could have gotten some sort of, like, final scene as well. Like that's the thing. Like, we didn't even get a final scene with Trish to really send her off. I felt like, I don't know. Part 5 is just good in general, but there's just issues I have with it at the end. So I'll finish this up. I feel like this has been going on for a super long time. You guys let me know what you think about, again, all these kind of, like, major things I'm talking about here. I'm sure a lot of people don't have issues with stuff. Again, I'm just not the biggest fan of, like, things that are kind of underexplained, and I felt like there was a lot of that in part 5. I mean, that is just, like, a JoJo thing. Again, I want to be very clear here that I like part 5. I do like JoJo. There's just things about it I didn't like. I mean, nothing is perfect. Everything can be criticized. I can be... hell, I'm wrong all the time. You know, a lot of people are going to say I'm probably wrong about this. So, let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys next time.